Hello and welcome to week 6 of the anime review thingy for Mob Psycho, Bleach, and Chainsaw Man. And god damn, if you watched like episode 6 of these animes, you'll be saying the same thing. God damn, because like these were some good episodes, man. Like holy shit. Like peak shonen is like anime is coming out right now. Like I've been watching anime for a long time, right? But like, you know, I haven't been watching anime weekly, if that makes sense. Like keeping up to date for like maybe like 5 years, and like coming back now, like watching Mob Psycho, Bleach, and Chainsaw Man all at the same time. Like this happening is like crazy to me, because I don't remember this ever happening like in anime, where it's like, you know, you had 3 series like going GOAT status. It's kind of ridiculous, really. But you know, we might as well get on with the review. I also feel better now, like I'm not as sick, so hopefully I won't be pausing as much where I'm like struggling to breathe, and maybe I'll be more coherent with my thoughts. But you know, who knows, I'm never coherent anyways. So let's start with Mob Psycho. So Mob Psycho episode 6, last episode ended with Dimple blowing Mob's like jacket off, school jacket thingy, and then, you know, he reveals the fucking monkey shirt, and he gets roasted for it, and he's like, damn, that fucking shirt's lame. And this episode starts off with the like Mob POV, where it's like you get to see first it was how am I gonna forget his name? Hanazawa, when he bought the shirt, it's like, oh, that shirt's pretty good, right? And then, you know, there was Ritsu, was like, damn, you going out with that shirt? Fucking Mob's like, oh, you want to borrow it sometime? She was crazy. And there was even like a scene where like you get to see Mob's butt chin, ball chin, whatever the fuck it is, where like, you know, he was getting his ego, and he's like, oh my god, look at me on my fucking high horse. And you know, Reagan was there as well. And they're all basically like, they're too nice to like sort of tell Mob the truth that the fucking shirt's trash. But I guess like maybe Hanazawa just doesn't know, because I don't think Hanazawa like maliciously did that to Mob. But you know, it is a thing where like everyone was just like, oh, that's you going out with that shirt? Oh, wear a jacket over that shirt, it gives you more defense points, blah blah blah. And like, you know, none of them really want to tell him that, you know, the shirt's bad. But you know, Dimples tells him straight up, it's like, you know, your shirt's trash, it's lame. And you know, I liked how they tied it in with the ego thing, when Mob was getting an ego, like how he's like, oh, girls are like starting to like look at me, I'm getting popular. But Dimple was the one like, yo, stop, like you're deluding yourself, you gotta like, I'm setting you back to like reality. You know, he was keeping him in check like a real homie. But you know, Mob didn't really like see through that, and he's like, nah, fuck off, Dimple, I'm popular, blah blah blah. And it was really cool how that played out. And then episode, you know, you don't really know where the episode's heading, or you're supposed to not know. I'll be honest, I said it a little bit in the last episode where like, you know, I gave a theory on what was going to happen, but it was because I kind of knew after reading the manga, like when it came out like 5 years ago, whatever. So yeah, I didn't know what was going to happen. I forgot what happened at the end, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But basically, Mob releases all his energy and blasts out into the sky, and Dimple's still being like, oh shit, is he really mad at me? What's gonna happen? But basically, Mob is like, after releasing all his energy, is kind of powerless in front of Dimple. And you know, his thing was like, oh shit, Dimple, like you're kind of scared of me because I have the power to exercise you, right? And like, so I couldn't really like speak to you one-on-one like a friend. So once he gets rid of the power, it's like, yo, it's just me and you. Like, we're straight up. Like, we gotta talk this out, because Mob sees Dimple as a friend, and like, you know, Dimple, how do you say, you know, keeps on clamoring how, like, you know, he's just using Mob, trying to take advantage of Mob. But, you know, he goes on to his whole spiel how, like, you know, after getting all this godly power and shit, he's like this close to like actually taking over the world. He realizes how like empty he feels and stuff, and like all the ambition he had and stuff. Maybe all the time he spent with Mob depleted it, but it really was like, you know, he said it like, all he wanted was a friend. And oh man, like, some people might find that trope kind of generic, boring or whatever, but the thing is, right, it's like they did it really well on how it ties everything together. Because, you know, first it started with the whole you know, Mob wasn't trusting Dimple at the start. He was like, you know, with the ego thing, and he was like, Dimple was trying to say, yo, you're not getting popular, like I'm like telling you now before you get your hopes up, and you'll be even more shattered. But, you know, Mob wasn't having it then. And then, like, even at this point in the broccoli tree, Mob doesn't really believe in Dimple's like any good intention he has, which Dimple didn't really have good intentions, but like, you know, Mob came in like maybe not prepared, but, you know, in the back of his head was thinking like, oh, I might have to kill Dimple. But the thing is, that's a crazy talk if you like actually, if that's your homie. Like, why are you coming in with that thought? It's kind of crazy. When Dimple, like, the entire time was inviting Mob to join the Psycho Helmet cult religion thing. And, you know, like I said in the last episode, like, the character dynamic between Mob and Dimple is just so interesting and satisfying to watch, that like the thing with Dimple just wanting to have a friend doesn't feel like forced or, you know, empty. Like it feels like that's always been Dimple's character. He's been taking advantage of people, but he doesn't mean anything bad about it. Like I said in the last episode, you know, with the LOL group he had in the start, he didn't hurt anyone. He just fucking kind of corrupted them and like brainwashed them, which is immoral, but he wasn't hurting people. That's the thing, right? And even in here, you know, he was inviting Mob to join. He was like, yo, Mob, I'm inviting you to join our cause and whatever. And you could say like that's just Dimple being how do you say, manipulative? No, I think there's a better word for that. The opportunistic, maybe. Where he's like, you know, because if Mob really wanted to, Dimple was dead. But, you know, they're friends, so it's like it's also like that whole thing where like Mob knows Dimple as well, where it's like, nah, Dimple, even though you've been waiting for this moment like maybe your whole life, you know you don't want it. And like that's what Mob knows as well. It's like, oh my god, it's like, it's everything I love about Mob Psycho. It's how it's so wholesome and positive, but the message still hits hard. It's like, you're like, it's like, it makes you feel good inside, but it's not like it's fucking empty, or fuck, there should be a better word. It's like, it's so satisfying to watch. I don't know how to explain it. Like, it feels like this was the 6 episodes. You could like I even said it at first, like the first 3 episodes, I was like, oh man, like it's not bad, but it's like I feel like it's building up to something bigger, and they really like scattered the pieces in, so it's like it's not super predictable that you're about to like think in your head like, oh, it's gonna be a mob dimple thing. Sure, like you would have got it at the start where Dimple's at the tree and it's kind of obvious he's behind all this religion thing, but when you really like start, when this thing happens and all the puzzle pieces start clicking together and you're like, oh, that the Dimple like trying to invite Mob to the cult at the like almost like second episode or whatever it happened, maybe third episode, when Dimple was telling him like straight up like, yo, you're not getting popular and shit. When it feels like, oh wow, this has been building up from like this entire season. But then you could even go further back with Dimple's like original cult group, and you're like, even back then, hell, even like back in season 2 with the Mogami, the crazy psychic guy. He's not really that crazy, but the super strong psychic, when Dimple saved Mob there, you can even like bring it back there where it's like, no, Dimple, although he says and is like kind of crude and everything, he's not bad. He's a good guy, and he's a good friend. Fuck, I would even say like after that Mogami thing, when he's fucking helping Mob, when like Mob's passed out and like the fucking top, is it Claw? Was it still Claw? That was Shou's dad. Is his name Shou, the redhead guy? When he was taking over the city and shit, and Dimple was like took control of Mob's body and like started fighting for him, and then took over one of the muscle improvement guys' bodies and started like defending Mob there. That shit was like, no, Dimple's the real one. It's more than just him being scared of like Mob killing him, like exercising him and shit like that. It's like, no, that Dimple and Mob connected with each other, and like I said before, with like the whole rival thing and how like they kind of like complement each other super well. It's goated. Like this that was one of the hard hitting scenes in Mob Psycho, I want to say. But that's only the first half, right? So second half, holy shit. So we have Dimple and Mob already making up, and Mob's like passing out, so Dimple's carrying him on his back, and then we get something's up. And I feel like some people might catch it already, because like I didn't. I was like, oh my god, this is a happy ending. This feels so good. I love Mob Psycho. I love happy endings, right? Like wink wink. And then on like the, how do you say, the exit, they're about to exit, right? And then the founder, broccoli root man, pops up, and I love the way that they did it, because like his like sort of reveal because it was like the whole thing where like, because they're inside of a, oh, sorry about that. That's not me being sick. That's me burping because I'm drinking water. I don't think that makes sense. How do I say this? Because they're in the broccoli, it's kind of like they're in a cave, and they had these like sort of ambient noises. And then when it cut to the founder's face, the ambient noise cut, and it was just like maybe a second of just the still frame of the founder, and like you're like, holy shit, that shit's spooky as fuck. It like kind of reminded me of like the last episode when the founder was behind Hanazawa, and like it really makes you think, because you're like, was Hanazawa, or the founder being behind Hanazawa Dimple, or was it like the actual founder? Because like the whole thing is like Dimple's kind of like carefree and whatever, but it was because of maybe like the founder was trying to like really force Hanazawa to be brainwashed, that oh no, it might have actually been Dimple, because Dimple tried to brainwash Hanazawa in the tree afterwards when they were like doing the whole fight scene. So never mind that thing. Maybe maybe it's the whole thing where like this is like the remains after Dimple like relinquished power and shit of the tree. So yeah, basically that guy comes in and fucks Dimple up, and I don't think I did not do a good job of like explaining how crazy that fight scene is though. It's not just simple Dimple getting fucked up. I said simple. What the fuck's wrong with me? Like yeah, so Dimple fights the founded tree, and his whole explanation was that, you know, after gathering so much power and whatever, the tree has gathered its own conscious and whatever, and is like, you know, it just wants more power, blah blah blah. And you know, Mob is a part of that because you know Dimple was sucking the power of Mob, and Mob's power is kind of like super strong, so the tree is like, yo, we want more of him. I think they were calling Mob sustenance, and it was like, that shit was crazy, dude. The fight went stupid. Like, oh my god, when like Dimple was like flying up in the air, and then you had like so many of them like chasing him, and they were like different colors. You're like, holy shit, this shit's crazy. And then, oh my god, I forgot to like switch to the like thingy. You know what? Fuck it, I'm not even gonna switch. Nah, I will. I think it helps. But yeah, like they were like shooting him in the sky from the tree, like they all like turned to guns and shit. You're like, oh, I was like, oh my god, this shit going crazy, dude. I think I saw a post. I remember when like the anime was announced and shit, that one episode had 20,000 frames, and it was probably this episode, honestly. I think that's what a lot of people guessed as well. Is like, it's probably gonna be the Dimple versus Founder or Dimple versus Mob fight. Like that's probably gonna like where they go crazy. Cause take it from me, I don't remember the manga, but I also don't remember what happens. But I want to say that like this is probably the peak of fighting that happens. I can't, like, maybe there's another fight afterwards. I'm not 100% sure. I could be talking out of my ass here, but it's like, yeah, that the way that they animated this fight, you know, it's just like Yutaka Nakamura. If anyone knows who that is, he's I hope I'm getting this right, where he's a key animator. Maybe he has a directing role, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure he's the key animator, and it's supposed to be a thing where like, yeah, he goes crazy, and like, you know, I do remember seeing him in the credits, so I do know he played a part in this episode some way or another. And it's like, yeah, if you know, you know. If you know, you know. Do I even know? Fuck, I want to like go on to like other animes that Yutaka Nakamura worked on, but I can only like, I know he's Bones, so I guess My Hero as well. My Hero and Mob Psycho. He's probably done other stuff as well. I feel very what's the word? Like I'm not praising him enough, or I'm not knowledgeable enough on what he's done. But I will say, I could look it up and just say it, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to tell you to look him up, because he's a goat. He's a goat for real. But basically, yeah, they fight, and Dimple doesn't. It basically ends with he's fucking being surrounded by a bunch of like teleporting founders that are like appearing in front of him in the sky. Like, low key, it reminded me of the Piccolo versus 17 fight in Dragon Ball, if anyone's seen that, where it's like, you know, Piccolo's throwing all these fucking random blasts, and then you find that 17's surrounded by a bunch of key energy things. I think, fuck, what's it called? It's called like grenade something. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, Piccolo's ability, but like the way like it's all around him, that's what it reminded me of when like the founders were all appearing around him. It was like, oh my god, like that shit crazy, dude. It looks so good. I don't think I can gush enough about it, and I feel like I'm not doing it justice on how I'm gushing about it, because shit, man, like, do I want to say I like it more than Mob Psycho Season 2 fights? Because like, it's not just how do you say, like really good animation. It was really good, like impact in terms of like story and like all of that, because like Dimple's doing that for Mob. You know, he's protecting Mob from this founder guy, and the way that Mob gets out is that during the fight, Dimple brainwashes Mob into leaving the tree, and like also getting everyone else outside of the tree to like leave as well. And you're just like, shit, that shit crazy. Like it hits on the action note, and then it hits on the emotional note as well, like throughout the entire episode. And you're just like, holy shit. Like first they hit you with wholesome, then they hit you with action, and then they hit you with fuck, I'ma cry. Because like the way that Mob was like leaving, and then he keeps turning around to like see Dimple, and he sees Dimple in his ghost form, because that's how Mob knows Dimple. He doesn't know the golden Dimple looking ass guy. He when he thinks of Dimple, he thinks of like the green ghost, little ghost guy. And I love the way that like they keep switching between the fucking, every time Mob turns around, you see how like, oh my god, it just like, it hurts to watch, because you know that Mob is powerless. Fucking Dimple even says like a really cool line on like, bro, because Dimple's sucked in a lot of, I don't know if it was all of Mob's power, but it was a lot of it. And Dimple was basically saying like, yo, like, I can't believe you know, you're acting normal, having all this godly power, right? And he was like, yo, like anybody would let it go to their heads. They would go crazy, corrupt, and like superficial, fucking whatever the fuck you want to call it. It would like, and then, you know, Mob's been having that the whole time, and Mob worries about getting a girl, or like getting the girl that he likes to notice him and shit. And you know, he's worrying about all this stupid stuff when he's got all this godly power. And you're just like, and like Dimple just says it straight up. He's like, yo man, like shit, like you're like you got to think that like Dimple already probably respects Mob, but then after that, like his respect went through the roof, because he's like, damn, you really are the man, Mob. You the man. You're the man. And Dimple was also the man, because, you know, while Mob is leaving, you're hearing the battle still going on, and you're like, shit, Dimple's doing it. And then, you know, you see Dimple fall inside of the founder's like head, and like I don't think Dimple actually lost in that thing. I think it was more like Dimple like went more into the core of the fight to like keep on fighting. And while that's happening, Mob's outside, tells everyone to leave. And it's just like, you're just like, shit, they're all leaving. The insert song that played at the end of episode 4, yeah, 2 episodes ago. So it was episode 4. The insert song Exist played, and you're like, shit, this shit's crazy. And like, I was about to cry, bro. And you get to see later on the news, the broccoli is sent out into space, presumably into the ocean. They didn't really show that. We just saw it fly up into the sky. And you're like, shit. Dimple pulled like a fucking Inuyashiki on us, bro. If you know, you know. And I'm like, bro, Dimple the man. I don't know what else to say, really. I feel like I'm just repeating myself. But another thing I want to get into is that insert song Exist, on how I feel like initially, like when it first played for Mob entering the tree, the divine tree, because like I looked up the lyrics and stuff, and because I don't know Japanese, you know, the song, you know, the title Exist kind of speaks for itself. It's really about like knowing that you exist, knowing where you are, knowing that you're not alone, that, you know, even through your struggles you can make it out, blah blah blah. Like, you know, it's an uplifting song in that kind of aspect. But I love the way it's used, because when it's used in episode 4, it's from Mob's perspective, really, where it's like, Mob kind of lost all the people around him. They're all brainwashed, and like, he finds out that he needs to find out that, like, he really exists, that he isn't alone. He loves all the people around him, and the people love him, but then because of some bullshit, he needs to go confront Dimple about it. And I guess that's kind of the messaging. I could be fucking talking out of my ass here. I could be completely wrong, but like, that's my reading of how it's from Mob's perspective. But then the second one, when they play it, it's supposed to be from Dimple's perspective, because it's like, Dimple just wanted a friend. He just wanted to feel like, he existed, that he had a what's the word when, like, they it's not accepting, like, affirmation, validation. He just wanted validation, right? That he is who he is. He is valid in just being himself, and blah blah blah. I say blah 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 a lot because I can't use my words. I'm not very witty. I don't think that's the right word either. I'm not very, I don't even know how to explain it. You probably can tell what I'm trying to say. I can't really explain my thoughts sometimes, so I just say blah 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 because you get what I'm saying, right? Like yeah. All right, you got me. All right, thank you. But yeah, 100 out of 10 episode. Like, it's 10 times better than a 10 out of 10 masterpiece fucking episode. It was amazing. But onto Bleach. Episode 6, The Fire. I really liked how they did it. Last episode, I kind of like said like the title drop was kind of meh. This title drop was like the same thing where it wasn't super fancy, but I did notice, because the title's The Fire, you could hear like a fire sound effect when the title drop happened, and you're like, it's like, you heard like the crackling flames, or like of like Kindle or whatever the fuck. You're like, that's fire. It also, like, they say the main boss man's name a lot more, and I don't know if like that's how I should be saying it, because like Yamamoto is saying like yhwach, and I don't know, that doesn't sound right, but also like I'm gonna just say it, yhwach. It is what it is. But yeah, so episode starts with Ishida reading the book that he stole from his dad. Didn't really steal, but he just took it. And 1,000 years ago, it's just some plot dump. 1,000 years ago, the Quincy Empire, fuck, that is like specific name for them. I think it was like something like the Royal Group or like Elite Group. I don't know what the fuck, but some Quincy group invaded Soul Society 1,000 years ago and were massacred. Like they stood no chance. And I guess it was probably like similar to what was happening now, where it's like, at least what I'm gathering from what's happening is, if it's very much like an ego thing, maybe not ego, because that sounds like it's personal, but like a race thing. How do you say, elitism, maybe? Where it's like, Quincy's think that they're better than Soul Reapers because they actually kill Hollows, and Hollows should be eliminated, unlike Soul Reapers who just like cleanse them and then allow like the cycle to repeat and whatever. And it's like, the Quincy's, instead of ever there being like some sort of peace thing happening, resorted to like attacking Soul Society. But 1,000 years ago they had Yamamoto, who went crazy, stupid. And then the whole thing was 200 years ago, the Soul Reapers probably thought that like, having Quincy's around was too much of a threat or a problem, so that's why a lot of them got exterminated then, or like the rest of them. And that has me thinking as well that there are like sort of two different sides of the Quincy's, where it's like you have like this elite group that is probably with the king, the Quincy king, yhwach, and then you have like more the common folk, or whatever the fuck, like just like Quincy's, but they're not as elite or whatever. That's what I think. I don't know. I could be uh, you know, thinking about it wrong. I have read the manga, but I don't I don't remember it, obviously. But you know that I'm coming in this fresh, so this like being able to think about these things again, like Quincy's and their like bloodline and their group and like what it means to them. I also forgot to fucking switch the thing here. Like it is really fun. I miss being able to do this with Bleach. Like theorize where things are going. But yeah, Quincy story, sick. I love it so far. But the way that Yamamoto popped in, right? And you have his footsteps on fire, like his like sandals are on fire, and he's like walking towards Yhwach, and then like they do this really cool cut where it's Yhwach like face, and then like you know you see the flames like lighting up his face, but then the flames go away, so it goes back to like it's sort of dull gray kind of tone, and then it pans into Yamamoto fucking helping Kenpachi off the ground, or to the ground I guess, because he took him from Yhwach, and you're just like, oh my god, Yamamoto was so fast that he took Kenpachi off Yhwach before you even noticed to fucking put him on the ground. But you don't even see it, is like the cool thing. You just see it from Yhwach, and then it pans, and you're like, I don't know, I really like that shot. I thought that was a very well designed, thought out kind of way to do that. If anybody knows me, right, or maybe you've like watched the podcast I do, I've said it multiple times where it's like, rather than like super well animated, like thought out, choreographed, and like you know kind of like detailed scenes, I love like the simple things that like blow my mind, because it's like, wow, that was a really cool way to show Yamamoto super fast, and done in like a special way with the lighting and the panning, that is like, you know, it just hits differently, and like it feels creative, and like you're just like, shit, like I give props to whoever thought that out. And I liked how I don't know if I liked, but I found it funny how the gun guy that's fighting Shunsui fucking says in English to him when like you know he gets the battle starts getting more intense, because good indeed, and I could only think about Stargate at that point, Tilk, when he says indeed all the time, and I don't even know why he said it at then as well, because like good indeed means like Shunsui said something was good, or something like some sort of remark beforehand, but you know he kind of started it off like that. I don't know if I just missed something, but I found it really funny how they're speaking English. You came to the right place if you're looking for like top tier analysis on an episode, but you know, yeah, funny. Bleach, very good comedy. I like it. Another thing that happens is 3 other, I'm assuming, Stone Ridders attacked Yamamoto and then were blown away easily. But the thing is, right, like I actually went back to the episode to like look at who they were. I could be wrong, like maybe they were just other random Quincy's, but on a glance they look like Asnot, Barsby, and the guy that's fighting the Rose captain, right? And I'm like, wait a minute, what's happening here? Because like I don't know if Yamamoto like instantly killed them, or maybe they're just blown away, but I'm pretty sure those 3 are supposed to be like powerful. So I don't know, like were they fodder, or is it supposed to be a thing where like they weren't actually them? I don't know. All I know is like those weren't 3 random Quincy's. Like I'm pretty sure that was Asnot and Basby. Like, so it's like, shit, damn. Yeah, I don't know if that's supposed to be like a power scaling thing where like if Asnot versus Yamamoto would have flogged them like Yamamoto would have flogged every Quincy besides the big boss man, but it is what it is. And I also liked the way when, like, another thing that you know, that I think this episode really did well in, where it's like smart animation, like where I was like kind of like the panning scene, right, that I talked about beforehand, was when Yamamoto did that, you get a shot from all the other Soul Reaper captains that are having a battle from their different perspective, and it gives you like a sense of the land as well, because you know Soul Society is basically a giant circle, but then you know it really shows that, you know, Komamura, fucking animal captain guy, is on one section, Soifon is in one section, Hitsugai is in another section, and it's like they're all like, you know, at different points, and the way that they do that with the blast all in the background while they're doing that is like, that's a really cool way to how you say, place them on a map on Soul Society, or where like the battle is happening. I'm fucking going crazy with how I speak right now, I'm sorry, but like because like the only thing I could like compare that to, in like where I like what Bleach did, is like, you know, One Piece, right? When multiple battles happen in One Piece, and like they give you like the map of where these battles are happening, because it's not like the map is super important, but it does give you like, you know, the sense of the land of where things are happening. You know, it kind of immerses you a little bit more, right? Knowing that like, oh, this is what the land looks like, this battle's happening here, oh, it's kind of close to this battle as well, this battle's happening here, maybe after this battle ends they can go here and shit like that. That's kind of how One Piece did it, but I've always found that really hard to immerse myself in personally. I don't know why. Maybe it's because like it feels, I don't, because like honestly I've always thought One Piece was very similar to like a D&D campaign, and like that's very D&D like, of having like a map and like battles in different places and whatever. I think the thing is that it makes everything feels like way too complicated and complex than it really is, because all it really is just like different points on a land. Maybe one point is like closer to like something important, like an item, a ship, a person or whatever that they have to protect or they have to go grab or whatever. That's really all it is. But personally, whenever they do that, it feels like they're overcomplicating it. But the way they did it in Bleach, with all these like flames, the flames in the middle, and then all the other captains around Soul Society, it just feels cool, and it like immerses yourself in. You're like, oh my god, Soul Society is like this fucking cool ass place where battles are happening in different parts of the Seirete. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called, right? Like inside the middle of Soul Society. And I'm like, shit, that's fire. Props to whoever fucking thought of that shot. And then when they do that, they do what do you call it? Yamamoto starts fighting with the guy, and like, yo, that fight scene, the initial fight as well, crazy. It looked crazy. Like Yamamoto was just fucking fighting with one arm, because I could be wrong, I'm pretty sure he lost his other arm in the Katakuri fight. Katakuri? Nah, that's One Piece. Kamakura Town, I think that's what it's called. Fuck. I think I want to say it's like during the Aizen invasion he lost one of his arms, and then, you know, he still has his other arm. I could be wrong. I think that's what happened. I don't remember. But basically, he's fighting with one arm, and it looks sick. It looks amazing. I love the way, you know, he's attacking. They're going on the roofs. He's like spitting out fire. He's like, you're like, shit. It looks really good. And he gets to a point where I think it's this point where yhwach rips out his own sword and is like, hey, I've got a sword as well. And then that's where Yamamoto does Bankai. And goddamn, Zanka no Tachi. If I'm gonna be honest, Ryujin Jaka sounds so much better. He's Shikai. Cause like, oh my, like Ryujin Jaka just sounds cool. Zanka no Tachi. Fuck. Like, I think Zanka means like eternity or something like that. I could be wrong here, but I don't know. Something about Jaka just sounds cool. Again, thank you for listening to my high analysis of Bleach. Saying how abilities sound cool. But yeah, his Bankai, I love it. I love the way they did it because, you know, the whole like land is like super dark, like dark colored, but then has Yamamoto's flames that to like light up some areas as well, and some of the like the blue Quincy flames as well. So I think maybe the blue Quincy flames have disappeared in this fight. I don't know, but basically, when he Bankais, everything turns brighter, like it's fucking daytime, right? And you even get to see some of the heat waves and shit, and you're like, holy shit, shit's going crazy. I love the way you know, it cuts to like the captain's fuck, I forgot his name. Uchi something. The white hair captain that also dual wields is like, yo, my throat's dry, which is kind of like mine right now because I'm fucking sipping water like a maniac. Shunsui says his lips are cracked because they're so dry and shit. You know, the cut in his lip like doesn't have blood in it anymore, and you're like, damn, you got some dry ass lips. Get some chapstick. Isane with Unohana is like, yeah, my skin's like getting really dry right now. Unohana like kind of like jokes at it. I was like, yo, why the fuck you talking about your dry skin when Soul Society is like this close to fucking being obliterated? And they're like, I love the way it cuts to the vase as well, the vase of water, or I guess a vase of a plant with no water in it, because as Toshiro Hitsugaya says, all the water in Soul Society is slowly being evaporated. And you're like, god damn, that's fucking crazy, right? Because that's his Bankai. His Bankai is super hot, boy. Know what I mean? East. Fuck. Like that's the initial ability, right, of his Bankai. East as another name, but I'm gonna call it by what it, like, the easier thing for my, you know, English speaking mouth. You know, all the flames that he would control is concentrated into his blade. So then if he touches something with the blade, it takes all that energy and it fucking gets obliterated. And like, you're like, shit, that shit looks so cool the way they did it. Oh my god, bro. Like, it just, like, you saw the tip touch the ground and then like boom. It really looks like some fucking almost on like some My Hero shit on the way, like how good these explosions look. I want to say it might even look better than that. I'm struggling to think of another anime to compare some of these animation thingies to, because it looks so good. And then that's only East. That was only East, and he was obliterating everything. Because, you know, and then I love the way that he went into like, yo, if there's an East, there's also a West. And then when West came out, is like all the flames coming out, and he's like, yo, I'm 15 million degrees hot, boy. Call me the sun. And I had to look it up because I was like, he was like, yo, just imagine that I'm the sun if you were ever to touch me. You can't touch, because it's not just his sword, it was like also his body is like 15 million degrees. And you're like, wait, hold up. I looked it up. What is the temperature of the sun? And then it said the core of the sun is 15 million degrees Celsius. So his sword and him are 15 million degrees. He's the core of the sun. That's fucking crazy. Like oh my god. Like everything should have been obliterated around him by then, but I'm guessing he has a way to control it. So it's like, shit flames. It's fire. It's fire. Like, if there was an apt title name in any anime, it's probably this episode, where it's called The Fire, because it's flames. And I love the way that, like, you know, after using West, he's like, you know, when he's like walking in sandals, it's like he's like walking on fucking magma and shit. Like, it gave you a little bit of that Akainu kind of feeling as well, with like how cool Yamamoto looked. You're like, shit, not that Akainu is cool, like, fuck that guy from One Piece, but also Akainu is kind of cool. Like, is it like the fucking magma fruit shit, kind of fire. I'm not gonna lie. Like, you know, I'm not gonna lie, it is pretty cool. I keep looking at my webcam and I'm like, it like fucks around a little bit. I don't know why, but it is what it is. And I liked how the fucking, I think after he used West as well, it cut to the flower that was at Unohana's place, and like the flower fucking crisped up and burnt up as well. You're like, shit, that was cool. That was really cool. I liked how they did that. What I'll go from here. Basically, Yhwach does a thing as well where he's like, this is the ultimate defense of the Quincy's. You come in here, you're gonna be killed by the godly light power, blah 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 blah. And then, you know, you think like, oh, fucking Yamamoto's gonna go into the light and destroy it. Nah, he fucking stabs his sword into the ground and is like, south. And you're like, shit, man, they went through east, west, and then south already. You're like, holy shit, he's going all out on this guy. And what is south? South is he fucking brings back the people that he's killed, their ashes, and is like, yo, you fight for me. And you know who he brings back? The Quincy's that Yhwach sent 1,000 years ago. Like, what? Like, that's so crazy, bro. Like, so it's like, you know, Yhwach has to deal with like that psychological battle as well of like, you know, seeing the dead that he's killed off basically by sending them to this war 1,000 years ago. And he has to fucking fight them. And you're like, shit's crazy, bro. Shit's crazy. Yamamoto looks so good. Like, this, I want to say, like, even throughout this entire fight, like they kept the flames on Yamamoto, and like it looked like he was like, oh my god, why does this look so good, man? Like, Bleach, why you doing this? Like, it's crazy. It's so good. It's so good. And I ain't even up to the ending yet, and it's so good. It's crazy. And I love the way when he did South as well, like he stabbed his sword to the ground, right? And then the screen like sort of blacked out, and then the way it came back into was it went into like, it started panning out. I guess that's not panning, right? That's zooming. It started zooming out of the skeleton's eye socket. And then like you start hearing the bones crackling of the skeletons. And I love the way the skeletons are even animated, because it might be CGI. Like, it, or maybe it's drawn. I don't know. Either way, I think it looked great, because it really gave you that feeling of like a creepiness. And you're like, holy shit. This shit spooky as fuck. You know, like, not like Bleach can do its like gore pretty well. Now it's like doing this shit, like creepy animation. You're like, oh my god, why are they doing this? It look, and like, because like the thing that like makes me think it's CGI is like at times the skeletons look stiff, but I think that adds to how like well it's kind of done. If it, like, I'm assumingly if it's 3D CGI, like the stiffness adds to like the creepy factor of the scene, right? That's just me. I know a lot of other people hate 3D animation. I fucking love it, but it is what it is. I love CGI. And then, you know, fucking Yhwach obviously cuts past the skeleton guys, and that's when fucking Yamamoto has to go crazy and is like, yo, I'm gonna go north on your ass, right? So he goes north, and animation goes crazy. Music has also been going crazy the entire episode. I want to say all of this are new. They're new scores. I'm not 100% sure. I like the other times it felt very easy to like recognize like iconic tracks that have been remixed. I couldn't really recognize it in this episode. They may be playing, but I'm assuming they're new tracks. But either way, right? They sound amazing. And I love the way that Yamamoto whips back at yhwach about like, you know, oh, yhwach was like, a soul reaper playing with the dead, how fucking hypocritical. He said some shit like that. I don't know, I could be fucking saying it wrong, but it felt like that, you know. He was basically like, yeah man, you're supposed to be like the balance between life and death, but you're bringing the dead back. Crazy, man. But then you know, Yamamoto is like, bro, the pain you feel about, you know, me doing this is nothing compared to all the soul reapers that died to the Quincy's, which is cool, right? Like the way they did it with like the flashbacks of like all the soul reapers that we knew died, like, you know, the fucking heads being blown up, his lieutenant dying, some of this at the start of this battle. You're like, shit. And then, like, you know, they do a bunch of the lieutenant scenes because, you know, that's, you know, that lieutenant meant a lot to you, Yamamoto, especially since the last episode with that flashback. And you're like, shit was going crazy. And when he did the slash on yhwach, it was doing the back and forth between old and young Yamamoto, and I don't know if that's the ability of North, where it's like it brings back his youth, or maybe it's just a cool way to like throw back that Yamamoto fought yhwach 1,000 years ago, and now he's fighting him again now, and it's like, you know, it's kind of showing that. Either way, obliterated, and fuck, I no, what was my point before that? Before I started like hyping up Yamamoto? Oh yeah. When he's like, yo, all the pain is nothing compared to like all the soul reapers that died. But you're like, wait a minute, didn't you also massacre the soul reapers 1,000 years ago? And even if that wasn't enough, like the soul reapers invaded Soul Society, then didn't you also exterminate the rest of the Quincy's 200 years ago? I mean like, you know, like, I don't know, man. Like, to me, like, at one point, I kind of, like, you understand what Yamamoto is saying, right? It's like, damn, we could, like, leave this alone, right? We could be like, all right, we kill Quincy's, but they, you know, we can stop the suffering here. But then, you know, you started the suffering again, killing our soul reapers, basically massacred. Wait, you gotta like understand, right? It was something like the entirety of Squad 1 was massacred, and then a lot of soul reapers in this fight right now have been massacred, like completely killed. And you're like, shit's crazy, right? But at the same time, like, you understand it, but I don't know, it also makes me feel like, damn, Yamamoto, how do you think he feels that you killed like a bunch of Quincy's as well and almost exterminated them 200 years ago? Like, I don't know, that seems a little sus to me. But, you know, the battle ends there. It cuts him in half, and then you get to see him on the ground. It starts raining as well, because after all the heat has evaporated all the water has to come down. And it's like a really cool thing, but it also warns you of like some dread, because it's like, you know, whenever it rains, you know, it's something sad's gonna happen. And what it is yhwach's on the ground and is like, oh, sorry for not finishing your orders or following your orders or something like that. And Yamamoto's like, wait, aren't you the king? What are you talking about? Who are you serving? Blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh my god, is there going to be a big bad guy? And it's like, nope, it's the real yhwach. Because that guy on the ground is a fake. And I liked. So it's Stone Ritter Y, the same one that Kenpachi fought, and it's his name is Royd, which is hilarious. But I guess like because he said you're the R of Royd, so I'm guessing they're supposed. The other guy that fought Kenpachi was the other letter of Royd, and you know, Kenpachi fought this one, while this R Stone Ritter Y was the guy who transformed into yhwach and was like, yo, pretend to be me for a little while to distract Yamamoto or whatever. And you're like, shit, he got had. Yamamoto got played. I'm almost out of water. Fuck. And I've been talking for an hour as well. Shit. But it is what it is. Fuck. What was I gonna say about Stone Ritter? Oh yeah. The whole thing about how in the Kenpachi fight, Kenpachi was like, oh, I just had to be stronger than my impression of yhwach, not yhwach, of myself, of Kenpachi. So maybe this is like the same thing where Stone Ritter Y like transformed into yhwach and was like, yo, this is my impression of how strong you are, or maybe how strong you think you are, something like that. I don't really know how it works, but basically the real yhwach is stronger. So Yamamoto beat the fake yhwach, who is just a Stone Ritter's impression of him. And you're like, damn, that's crazy. Because what happens? First, before that, I want to talk about Aizen, because Aizen's a fucking beast. Because yhwach, while this fight was happening, went to see Aizen under Squad 1 barracks. And like Aizen's strapped up, and yhwach's like, yo, you want to join my cause, bro? And Aizen's like, no, I refuse. And you know, I guess the Quincy King didn't expect that one, because he was like, nani? That shit was pretty funny. Like I guess it was a thing where like, because Aizen is one of the special threats identified before the battle, because you know, there's 3 of them. There's Ichigo, Kenpachi, and Aizen. Where it's like, I guess it's supposed to be a thing like in the last 1,000 years, maybe like recently, these 3 things that came out, like we may have not have prepped for, because like it seems like yhwach prepped for Captain Yamamoto, and you're like, shit, nah, it's alright, it's not shit anymore, I got it. We seal his Bankai, we do this whole strat of where we fake him out. It's that easy. And you know, you might even think that him killing the lieutenant previously may have also been part of the plan, because he's like, yo, if we kill the lieutenant, Yamamoto's gonna act differently. Like that could also be a part of the thing, because you know, 1,000 years, he's got a lot of time to strategize these kinds of things. But yeah, Aizen being one of the threats is like, damn, like, I don't know, like the dialogue that they did was so sick, because it was some shit where like, you know, it's a shame that I couldn't, you know, you couldn't join me, but you know, it would take too long to try and kill you because you fused with the Hogyoku, but also it is too difficult to fucking take you out and drag you by force while you still being restrained. And it's like, you're like, damn, Aizen is that guy, man. He is that guy, the best fucking anime villain, hands down. I'm gonna say it, like, I don't give a shit. Aizen is the best villain, and he still plays a part later in this arc. Spoilers, I'm sorry, but like, you know, you must have saw that coming. But yeah, Yamamoto dies, and it's fire, because yhwach like shot an arrow from the sky into the ground, but then it wasn't an arrow, it was actually his sword, and then he killed Yamamoto with the sword. and then like the way like the blood splattered up on the screen, and then it's him black and white, and it's like slow-mo, and you're like, oh my god, this shit's crazy. It's like because like Bleach is, I don't know if it's like really known for, but like the art style makes heavy use of like the whites and blacks, and like the way that they did that final shot of Yamamoto dying, I think was very faithful to the manga of how it's like very, because manga's white, black and white, obviously, right? But like it felt powerful, and it felt nice to watch. Not that like fucking it was nice to watch like one of the goated characters in Bleach dying, but the way it was done, I think, was amazing. I also want to fucking give notice out to Ryan. Fuck, what? Let me look this up before I talk out of my ass, because this is something I do want to not misinform, something like that. Retro Rhino, whose real name I guess is Ryan White, did fan animations for Bleach years ago, and I remember watching them and being like, oh shit, this shit's pretty cool. I want to say like these animations were also happening after the manga ended, and like it was kind of cool to see this, like Bleach still have like a fan base even after it ended, and like it was like stuff like they were like animating like the 1,000-Year Blood War arc stuff as well, and you're like, shit's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool. And yeah, that guy who started off doing fan animations worked on this episode, and like I was just like, I think that's amazing, and I want more people to know about that, because I find that really cool. It's really cool. And I even want to, like, if we're talking about the whole episode as a whole, right? Whole episode as a whole, that was pretty funny. Like, this is one of the best episodes of anime, period, I think. Like not just from an animation standpoint, but I want to say like this is like what Bleach fans have been waiting for. Maybe I'm like, too much of a bias person because I love Bleach so much, but I feel like that makes my points more valid if you come from the sense of like, as a fan that's been waiting, not even waiting, I thought like Bleach was never going to get animated ever again, right? But as a fan that's been eagerly waiting for some more Bleach content, this episode blows it out the park in terms of like, wow, they adapted this very well. Like, to the point where it's like, damn, I feel like this is going to drag in like fans from other anime to like join in to the Bleach sort of joy, how great Bleach is, like I don't even know how to express myself, right? It's so beautiful. I love TYBW. He's amazing. But yeah, so Mob Psycho is 100 out of 10. This is like 80 out of 10. So yeah, I think I liked the Mob episode more, which is hilarious because I think I talked more about Bleach, but I still think this like episode was fucking way beyond a 10 out of 10 masterpiece kind of level. Is ridiculous, right? Insanity. That's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, that was a good episode of Bleach. On to, I don't know why I clapped. I felt like I was like clapping would have changed the layout, but it didn't. I had to like click it myself. But anyways, Chainsaw Man. So last episode, they're like trapped on the 8th floor, and you find out they're still trapped on the 8th floor. You find out they're like, the rooms lead to more rooms, and like, the windows don't lead anywhere. The ceiling leads back to the like bottom floor, so it's like a repeating room kind of thing. And Kobeni is still being like, super nervous and very how do you say, scared, fearful, a lot of those feelings. She does like the peace sign at the start, and or at least Himeno says to do the peace sign. So she's kind of used as like a comedic piece this episode. But if we're talking about peak comedy, I think Power defeats everyone, because she figures out that she wants to get the Nobel Prize and wants to become Prime Minister, and I'm like, damn, I'll vote for her, because Power is best girl. But yeah, basically they're still trapped here on the floor. Aki or Hayakawa, I'm gonna call him Hayakawa still, because I feel like Aki is, it's too familiar of a name. Like, I'm not that close with Hayakawa, so I'm gonna call him Hayakawa, right? Like Himeno, other people can say Aki, I'm gonna say Hayakawa, right? So it'll be pretty funny if Hayakawa is not his actual name, but sword guy Hayakawa is out there still trying to hunt for like a way out, while Denji is fucking sleeping, and Kobeni is fucking scared, and the other guy that I don't remember his name is like having a panic attack, and Power is like being cute, very cute. I love Power. But yeah, basically they're stuck here, they have limited food, and they don't know how to get out. And what happens? I'm trying to fucking remember what happens next. My notes aren't as detailed as like the Bleach and Mob Psycho things, but somehow we get to Himeno smoking, and I guess like she's just taking a break. I think this is like after Denji wakes up and Himeno's like filling in the gaps of what happened. And I liked how Denji points out that that's the same brand that Hayakawa smokes, because I found that really cute. Like that's a cool subtle way to show that Denji and Hayakawa have been living together for so long. I don't even know if they've been living for so long, but like time's passed and like they've been living together, so Denji picks up on like the brand that Hayakawa smokes, because at least like the last episode when they were showing like their daily lives, I think that happened last episode, I hope it did, you have Hayakawa going out to like smoke in the balcony in the morning, reading the newspaper, so presumably he does that every day, and then Denji just caught on. And then Himeno's like, oh, actually, Hayakawa learned all about smoking from me, because Hayakawa's or Himeno's partner is Hayakawa, and like they do a little flashback of them bonding at the start of their partnership, because Hayakawa was like the uptight guy initially, of how like he's like, smoking is bad for you, bad for your bones, and lung cancer, blah blah blah. But you get the scene where Himeno's ex-partner's girlfriend pops up and then slaps her, because the ex-partner, I'm guessing, died, and like the girlfriend's like, it's all your fault, you lived but he died, and blah 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 blah, being all salty. And then Hayakawa sticks gum on her somewhere, and it's supposed to be like that petty thing on getting back. But I want to talk about this more in depth, on how like Chainsaw Man's storytelling I don't like as much as other shonens, but I feel like I'm understanding it more, because like I feel like this is a good example, right? The whole gum thing, of how it's very dull in terms of like a moment, right, of development in like characters and like their dynamics and whatever. It's dull, right? Because like really imagine this, right? You fucking write down, like, oh, ex-partners, is mad at Himeno, Hayakawa gets back at the partner by doing X stick gum on them. Then this fucking adds more layers to their sort of dynamic and shit. And like that's all good and all, right? Like I'm gonna sound like a hater. Like I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying it's dull for a shonen because, like, think about like other shonens, like we've already talked about Bleach, Mob Psycho, where a lot of these like moments, character development, character defining moments, whatever that happens in the story, it's all about like amplifying and exaggerating a moment that propels a character forward or in a direction in their life or in the story or whatever. Like it's supposed to be up here, right? Like in terms of impact. But what Chainsaw Man I'm understanding now is more about the subtleties and things, the subtext. And I feel like that's why the dullness speaks more in here, or speaks more. I think it works more in Chainsaw Man than if like a dull moment happened in the like other series. Like, so other examples, right, is like when Denji's like, oh, my goal in life is like tits, like that's my fucking that's my my dream or whatever, is to grope some tits. Even later on when he's like, oh, I want to grope Makima's tits, how it like progresses and whatever, right? When you really think about it, that is supposed to, like, obviously there's more to that in terms of like, showing how he's a man of simple desires. He doesn't really know where he's at in life. Like, does he have any greater desires than that? There's all that there. That's all like subtext, and it's purposely done. At least in my opinion, I think it's purposely done that way. But you compare that to other shonens where it's like all about this like impactful thing. Like in Deku wants to be a hero in My Hero. Luffy wants to find the One Piece. Naruto wants to become Hokage. You have a lot of these like impactful things, and that's kind of what shonen lives off, is like impacts. But Chainsaw Man doesn't really have that. It has a lot of subtext, a lot of like things that aren't overtly shown. But then I guess my whole problem, right, is the subtext isn't finished yet because I don't know the story or where the story's heading. So it's hard to enjoy this as a shonen because it's like, I don't think it is. But it's weird because I think it's supposed to be a abstraction. I don't think it's the right word. It's definitely not a deconstruction. I don't think it's that either. I think it's just a different take on shonen storytelling, where where like you're so used to these impactful story moments that what happens if we dial it down a little bit, make it dull? You get to experience a lot of the subtle subtext. I keep saying the same thing because I'm bad at words. But yeah, like you really get to like read between the lines more on like character dynamics and whatsoever. And I'll move that on later where it's like they're fighting the Eternity Devil, right? And Kobeni previously touted how like, oh man, I don't really want to become a demon hunter or devil hunter. I just did it because my parents forced me to like send my brother to university. I want to be at university too. Damn, that sounds weird to say out loud. But yeah, she wanted to go to university as well, and it was either become a devil hunter to make money or become a sex worker. And I guess she chose being a devil hunter more. And yeah, like the way it's done, like that was kind of overtly done, but it really wasn't about the impact, because you get to see more of a character in terms of like how nervous she is, the world building on like, oh, this world is kind of like fucked up because the like, how do you say this? I don't think, because like they're not sought out jobs, but it is like a thing where like 2 high paying jobs is like Devil Hunter, where you're gonna be not stripped, you're gonna be in dangerous situations, like your death expectancy is that the right word? Your rate of death, your chance of death, maybe that's a better word. Your chance of death is really high. Or a sex worker, where you might be stripped of or your clothes first of all, but also like maybe your pride, any pride you have, any integrity, whatever. Maybe you will even be mistreated. I don't know how like the world seems super dark as well, so like she might even like turn out to be like enslaved, treated badly is all I can assume. And maybe like being Devil Hunter comes with benefits, because like, I don't know, are they getting paid well? Like this is like sort of treating like becoming a sex worker, if like they get paid. Do sex workers even get paid well? I don't know this shit, but who the fuck, I don't know. I don't really know enough. All I know is that like it's supposed to like there's subtext there. I'm very bad at explaining it, but I'm sure you understand me, right? How like you're supposed to like, oh, world building, cool shit, character building as well for Kobeni. But yeah, basically it leads to Kobeni, or the devil appears, the Eternity Devil, and he's like, yo, kill Denji and we'll let you all leave. And everyone is basically saying like, nah, we won't do that. Besides Kobeni and the guy, Power is as well. Like she's fine with killing Denji, but I don't think she really wants to kill Denji. I think she's just trolling because she's really cute and like, I'll do whatever she wants. But it gets to a point where the devil grows super big and is like, the hotel is like flipped to its side, and Kobeni tries to stab Denji, but then Hayakawa takes the shot. And then this is kind of like what I mean as well by like the subtext is very well done, because at one point, or like the main point, right, is that Hayakawa has a lot of respect for Denji now after the previous episodes of him defeating the Bat Devil and covering for Power instead of like outwardly like exposing her and shit. Is like, damn, I kind of respect Denji more. And perhaps as well, living together, they've built like a familial bond. Familial? I don't think that's family bond. I don't think familial is the right word, because that sounds more like being a familiar, like a pet or something. So I'm gonna say family. It feels like they have a family bond as well. And like I think Power's in there as well, because like Hayakawa is like cooking food for them and everything, and like they interact at home. We don't get to we've seen a bunch of it already, but we haven't really seen Hayakawa sort of treat them differently because of the living situation until now, where Hayakawa is basically like, I need Denji. Like he's the only one who kind of is fine with killing like ready to kill devils, like the gun devil, right? And so like there's that subtext, and it's like, oh, that's really cool, that's interesting. I also like how it's, if you flip it from the other perspective of Denji, like his thoughts on Hayakawa, how he's always thought like, oh man, fuck these guys who have all these aspirations and dreams or whatever on why they do their shit, because the thing that's stuck in his head, right? Fuck, I'm out of water and my throat's hella dry. Fuck, but I'll try and finish this. My throat is on fire and I was sending you to go toilet, but maybe like 10 more minutes left. So yeah, Denji thoughts on Hayakawa, how he has like this greater aspiration than him, when his aspirations, right, is groping tits, and Hayakawa's is like a greater thing because he's doing it for revenge. Like the gun devil killed his brother and shit. And you're like, Denji kind of maybe inside, like another subtext, right? Is like maybe he felt inferior to Hayakawa because of that, but then this experience kind of levels them because it's like, nah, Hayakawa respects Denji, like to some degree, and then like maybe this makes Denji's point of view on Hayakawa change a little bit. So there's that, but then like added onto that, even without those two, there's Himeno, who constantly has her partners die on her, has Hayakawa, who is very capable as a person, but then is now at this moment where he might die as well because he just got stabbed. And then you know, if we really like dig deep into that, it's like that's why she doesn't want him to use the sword, because she says like the sword lowers his life expectancy by like a few years, and she's like, nah, I gotta keep Hayakawa as alive for as long as I can, because she probably can't stand losing another partner that she got close to. And you're like, damn, like that's like, this is really interesting storytelling that it's like has so many layers that you don't really get you're not really used to a shonen, because shonen anime is supposed to be like very simple to digest, you know, like the plot's right in front of you, it's told to you, it's, you know, it's overtly shown. But Chainsaw Man, it's a lot of subtext, and I like that. It's very cool. Which is funny because I think I started off in this section kind of downplaying Chainsaw Man, how it's like not the typical shonen greatness. But you know, after talking this out, I'm surprised on how much I'm complimenting it. I'm like, damn, I might like Chainsaw Man more than I thought. Because like, you know, I still think Hayakawa and Aki are still two of the best characters out to come out of the show. And I'm growing to like Denji more. But the thing is, I feel like I like Denji's interaction with the other characters more than I like Denji himself. Like Denji plus Power is really cool to watch. Denji plus Hayakawa is really cool to watch. But Denji on his own, I'm kind of meh about, you know what I mean? And basically the episode ends with Denji going to chainsaw mode and gonna jump into the Eternity Devil and like cause damage and see and like try and fuck him up. Alright, some final moments as well in Chainsaw Man is I really liked how the entire episode they were playing with reflections a lot. I don't know if anyone else noticed, but like they were doing it with like the glass on clocks, the glass on the windows, the blood on the ground, like wherever there could be a reflection, they used it, and they used it in really like cool ways on like showing a person pass through a room that they wouldn't in like the normal shot. That would show like, you know, Himeno when Hayakawa got stabbed and blood poured on the ground. You get to see her like sort of frightened, shook expression that Hayakawa might die in the reflection of the blood, and you're like, damn, that's really cool. And just like, you're just like, it's very fascinating. I loved it. I loved the way they did that. I also thought the sound design, like throughout the entire series actually of Chainsaw Man, has been great, but I want to say like this kind of like this episode to me showcased it better, because it, oh fuck, do I have to like go back into like my subtext talk as well? Because like the Eternity Devil, right, is basically fear of eternity, you know, the something that never ends, them being trapped here, never ending. That's sort of the fear. And they already talked about how devils get stronger the more fearful of the thing that they are is. So like, you know, the gun devil gets stronger the more people are scared of guns. Chainsaw gets stronger the more people are scared of chainsaws. Eternity Devil gets stronger the more people fear eternity. And like the way that the sound was working really, like, to me, played part of that like fear factor. I don't think it's the right word as well, like, but fear, right? Yeah, like I don't know, I thought that was really cool. I'm trying to rush things because I'm fucking busting myself. I need to go toilet like real quick. But all right, so yeah, Chainsaw Man, 9 out of 10. Nah, fuck it, I'll give it 10 out of 10. Fuck it, You know, like we're already here. I gave other episodes greater than 10 anyways. Chainsaw Man, episode 6, 10 out of 10. Outro time. So with my ratings, right, it would have went Bob Psycho, then Bleach, then Chainsaw Man. But I thought every, like, you know, that's not to say like one was vastly superior to the other. I thought all episodes here were standout, amazing, peak shonen, fucking like holy shit. Like if you are not watching these animes right now, you're missing out on something. And I need to end this real quick because my throat is dying and I need to go toilet. See ya. Wait, what am I waiting for? Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe and blah 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 blah. I need to go right now, so actually see ya. Thank you.